Hello everyone, welcome to Badgeskins. In this video, we will cover a number of install how-tos of our Badgeskin products for the exterior of the MK2 Tiguan. As you can see here, this is a variant of what is possible with some of our Badgeskins products. So let's get started. Here we'll be installing it's not really a side marker, I guess you can say it's kind of like a chrome delete on the LED projector headlights on the MK2 or the MK2 Tiguan. So what we're going to do is that we're going to black this out. So here is the Badgeskin kit. It comes with the left and the right. And all you have to do is just remove the Badgeskin from the backing. Make sure your surface is clean, as always. Alcohol wipe and microfiber cloth. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take it and line up the top and the black edge here. And once you like where you want it, just start tacking it down and squeegeeing down the Badgeskin to the headlight. It is a very simple and quick mod to kind of just give you a more stealthy look. Just like that, peel off the mask at 180 degrees. There you go. So for here, we're going to install the headlight lower shadow piece. What it does is just accents this section here of the bumper in the black, so it kind of adds more like a stealth dark look to the headlight in the whole front end. To start off with, what you're going to do is obviously you're going to clean the surface area that you're going to be applying the Badgeskin. On top of that, you will have to apply some masking tape. So what you'll do is that you'll be adding masking tape along the lower section of the headlight, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that you actually do get a bit of that where the bottom part curves in, and then run it all the way across and up, and just where the fender point is right here, you want to put a little piece just to cover that. Okay, now your Badgeskin set comes like this. Obviously the left one is missing because I've already installed it, so I'm just going to be installing the right one here. And what you're going to do is that you're going to peel off the Badgeskin and you're going to drape it over your arm. No sweater obviously, because it'll pick up lint. And what you want to do is you want to line up the front edge to the front line of the bumper, and obviously this line here. You want to get it just before where you see it, where it starts to curl over, is where you want to kind of line everything up. And you want to start tacking down the front side, and you just gonna walk everything over. And if you don't like the alignment, just give it a quick yank and pull it up. But essentially you just gotta follow everything like that. Now here's the thing, if you don't like this, you can literally just peel this all off and realign it. Like so, I'll show you. So right now, if I don't like the way I aligned it, I can totally do this. As long as you're at like a room temperature and the surface is not hot, you're okay. So now like we'll start all over again, where I'm gonna line this up the way I want it to be. And as I was mentioning before, you can walk it across. And as you do this, you're just going to be applying the vinyl to the top side of the bumper. And the masking tape will help you from it adhering to the headlight. So at this point, what you do is that you're going to take your squeegee. If you don't, you're going to take your gift cards, stack them, and you're just going to work everything underneath the headlight. When you get to this point, you gotta make sure that you have grip here before you start tucking this under like so. Okay, after you've done that, you can go ahead, pull the masking, and peel at 180 degrees away. Once you get to this point here, I'm going to use my little small micro squeegee, and I'm going to work this section right in underneath that little fender point and towards the back of the headlight. So you can use your cut up piece of gift card if you have, and just kind of do this. So now you're just going to make sure everything's tacked down. What you can do, if you have your squeegee, is just kind of lightly go over it and kind of angle it a bit so that you can feel it tacking down on the inside at the back, because the bumper does kind of curve like this on the inside here. So there is a section where at the back, just underneath the headlight, where the shadow piece will adhere to. And that is essentially it. Once you've done that, you can pull your masking tape off, and as you can see, this is what it looks like as the final product. If you want, you can do a quick heat treat and just make sure all the adhesive is activated. So here we're going to be installing the Grille Blackout kit for the chrome here. Now, from my understanding, there's going to be two different Mark II Tiguan grills, but I just want you to make sure that this kit, if you order it, is specific for this grill here. And as you can see, it will be the ones with the two trapezoid shapes along the bar. And this is the kit that we'll be installing. So just like any other install, is essentially the same. You're going to be prepping and cleaning the surface area, making sure it's free of dirt and that is dry. The most important part is that you're going to get all the crevices along the edges here, the top edge, and also around the bend here on the opposite side, and the very bottom of that is important to make sure that you have that prepped and really clean amongst the surface area also. Your kit essentially comes like this. You have the top, this stands for top right, bottom right, and obviously you will have one that's for top left and bottom left. So I'm going to start the install with the top bar just to show you how it's done, and then we'll time lapse the bottom one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the badge skin like this. Everything's already pre-trimmed for you, and you're just going to start lining it up just like a chrome bar delete for the GTIs and Golf R. You're just going to line this up the best you can to the one end, and if you don't like it, you can lift it up a little bit, but you can just handle the vinyl so that you get that top edge to match up. You could have a little bit of an overlap to the black plastic cowl because you can essentially tuck it in, but what you want to do is just run it along that edge so you hide the chrome, and you just walk it across. What you do is you just work it down. The important parts is where it starts to dip. So you're gonna hit all the high edges here. Just make sure it's tacked down on the flat. And we're going to peel off the masking once you get a majority of it on. Now what you can do now is just work where it bends, right at the crease. Like that. So where it starts to have that little crevice area is where you want to apply first. and just work and squeegee down the rest of the areas on the flat part. This is easy to work with because it's what you call bubble free or air egress vinyl. Now once you get towards that top edge there, if you have a tool like this, which is a simple vinyl tool and it's only a few bucks, or you can cut up a gift card, and all you do is work that back edge right up against the black cowl, and it will kind of tuck underneath. If you're good, you can actually dig underneath, and it'll actually tuck right underneath that black plastic piece, and you can actually tuck the vinyl. So you just work it across and do the same thing here. Just make sure you get everything. Once that's done, what you can do is take a squeegee or the same tool and just work that flat part down, starting towards the corner and walking it towards the back. And then you would heat treat it just to make sure that the adhesive is activated. And then you're halfway through on the first bar. The next part is that you're gonna cover the face, because this comes with a two-piece kit, which makes it easy to do the blackout. So obviously I'm gonna take the bottom portion here, and you're gonna do the same thing. So you're gonna line this up, but there's gonna be a bit of an overlap. So what you wanna do, you wanna line it up. As you can see, a little portion's gonna wrap underneath and a portion's gonna wrap over top. So you're about almost an equal distance from top to bottom. That's pretty well how you get to line it up. So you just kind of eyeball it. You can kind of see I'm getting a bit of the top and the bottom there, and it's kind of, as I run it across, you can kind of just tack out the little corners. You can see how I've evenly spaced it out. And if you don't like it, then you can just kind of pull it off and realign. But I think I have it lined up pretty good, because you can see where the light highlights where it curves on the vinyl, and it kind of just shows me how equal I am. So you just run that across and just do the same thing. You're gonna hit up the top corners, make sure everything's flat, and then I'm gonna peel off the masking, because it's on the flat portion. And this is the same situation here. You're gonna attack the corners first. So I'm gonna push that down, I'm gonna push that down, work the crevice. So anywhere where it starts to bend like an elbow, that's where I want to tack down first. After that, then I'll just I'll squeegee down the vinyl and work it down on the straight sections, like that. The bottom section, I'm just gonna start from the middle. I'm gonna tuck it underneath. And just work it towards the edge. Now once you get to the end, you do the same thing. You preheat it a little bit, nice and even. And you just gotta tuck it in. And make sure that it's nicely adhered and flat. Obviously you gotta always work on from the corner and just around to the flat part. After that, give it a heat treat all the way through. Anywhere where you might see a bit of a lift, make sure you give some pressure and adhere it down so you get a nice seal with the adhesive. I get the underside. And that's it. And after this, you just repeat the process 3 more times for the other 3 bars. Alright, so I'm going to continue on. This will be a time lapse of me doing the Blackout Grille kit for the MK2 Tiguan. And I'll finish off this bar and the other side. Okay, and there you have it. The MK2 Tiguan Chrome Delete for the front grille. Alright, so here we're going to be installing the blackout kit for the top chrome bar of the MK2 Tiguan. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to go through the same process of cleaning and making sure everything's dry. Then you're going to use the alcohol wipe and clean off everything. Most important part is when you're cleaning, you want to get right to the edge and see how this pops up. You can get underneath. I would run a microfiber cloth along with a tool like this, or something that you can dig underneath. And same for here, when you're cleaning, take the microfiber cloth and put on the tip, and as you can see, you can dig right in between there and actually clean inside there too, because it actually is very, very dirty. After you've done all that, so this would be your kit, and it's pretty simple to install. So essentially, like any other badge skins, you're going to remove the badge skin from the backing like so. And what you can do is that you can drape the badge skin onto your arm like this, so that it doesn't touch anything. And it's also important not to wear a sweater. So what you're going to do is that you're going to line up the badge skin to the emblem section here. So top to bottom, you want to make sure that it lines up nicely, as you can see here. So when I look here, I look like I have a bit of a gap, so I'm going to adjust it like this. And once I'm happy with it, I'm just going to start walking the vinyl across using this plastic edge to follow. You don't have to be perfect because the hood will cover this top section, but it's pretty basic to follow the edge along. And if you do kind of overlap it a bit, you don't have to really worry, you can kind of tuck it underneath. So here I've done that side. I'm going to continue on and finish the right hand side. I'm not too happy with this little bit of a gap, but since I've already tacked everything down, I know I'm centered, so I'm just gonna readjust this section here so that the chrome is a little bit more hidden as I push the vinyl towards the plastic backing here that I use as my guide. Once that's all done, I'm just going to start tacking the vinyl down. And then I'm going to remove the masking at 180 degrees. Once you've done that, now you can start smoothing out the top and tucking anything that has excess. Then you're gonna move along the front and really continue on with smoothing that vinyl down. And what you're gonna do is that with your tool, if you have one, or a squeegee, or your gift card cut up into a little piece, you can literally just start tucking in and working that vinyl in. As you can see, this is really easy to get in between, so don't be afraid to just kind of stick your squeegee or your gift card, whatever you're using, to help you with this install. Once you get to the end here, what you're going to do is you're going to take a heat gun and you're just going to warm up that end a little bit, and then you can just tuck it in along the side like that, starting off with the corner going down, and then just push it in and make it stick to the end piece the best you can. So I didn't use masking tape here during the install, but if you like, you could mask off this bottom chrome piece just in case, if you need to, from the vinyl sticking to it and making it more difficult of an install, but usually it tucks in pretty easily. So here I'm just going to continue on with the other side, same installation method here. As you can see, this is the first portion that's done, and we'll continue on with the second part. So here we're going to install the lower two parts of the top chrome bar delete of the MK2 Tiguan. As you can see from the previous section of the video, we've just finished installing the top portion. So now we're going to install these two pieces, and just for installation's sake, I put a piece of masking tape over top just to make it less sticky for the vinyl when you go to tuck it. I should have mentioned that in the first portion, because you could put masking tape over this bottom bar when you're installing the top piece, but I'm going to do one side with and one side without. You may or may not need it, really, based on your experience on installing vinyl. But essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to remove the badge skin for this portion here from the backing paper, and I'm just going to drape this portion over my arm. And what you're going to do is you're just going to line up. See this little portion right here, this bottom of this little square section? You're gonna line it up to the top portion of this chrome where it meets the emblem, and then from there you're gonna do your best to kind of just give yourself a little bit of extra so you can cover that chrome. So there may be a little bit of overlap like that, as you can see, and they're literally about maybe 2 millimeters above that chrome line. And then I'm just going to walk this across. And tack it down as I go. Once that's all done, you just go remove the masking by folding it back to 180 degrees, and then you just go pull it off slowly. Now once you get to this section here, what you want to do is you want to do a quick tuck on the top portion, right where just before where it meets the emblem. Like so. And if you have a small vinyl tool or if you have a gift card, then you can just kind of help tuck this in the best you can. And there is a little bit of an overlap there. Now what you do is just use your squeegee tool and just kind of tuck and pivot in. Like so. And once you've done all that, what you do is you just fold the bottom piece under and just work the vinyl across to the edges. Once you get to the end here, just take a heat gun if you have, or hair blower. And then just tuck it in. Like so. And now I'm just gonna make sure everything's tucked in nice. Now you can peel off that masking tape. And just double check all your edges. So as you can see right here, I'm just gonna tuck in that little bit of excess. You can see how I can get it right behind the emblem. I just want to make sure that all the chrome is covered, all the excess vinyl is tucked, and then just do a quick once over again over everything, and that should be it. Now I'm going to install the other side with the same method. And here you go, complete product here. So now the top chrome part is fully deleted. All right, so for this installation of the Mark II Tiguan, it is actually going to be the chrome delete that's on the headlight. This is more specific for the R line or the LED projector upgraded package that you would have on a Tiguan, not the standard halogen housing. So here you have 3 pieces, 1, 2, and 3. This chrome delete will actually finish off the rest of the chrome delete that we've already installed. So to start off, this is what your kit would look like, 1 for each side, 3 pieces, and the easiest way to work is from top to bottom. Now with this one, it's pretty intricate because of just the small details. When you clean, be very thorough and clean in and underneath in all the spots. So obviously if you can get a microfiber cloth and kind of get right into the crevices here. Same thing as get into the back of here and around the corners. Same thing down here, trying to get as much of the surface that you normally don't think about cleaning nice and clean, especially all the creases and stuff like that. Once that's all done and you've dried the area and used alcohol wipes and dry it again with a microfiber cloth, you can go ahead and do the install. So before that, what you want to do is you want to mask off all the high tactile surfaces. So as you can see here, I mask off all around this area here, down here. And the last thing I want to mention is for this portion here, when you're masking, try to angle the painter's tape in and catch that inner edge as you come across. Okay, that'll kind of play a pretty important role later on, but we're gonna start the install right now. So the first piece here is pretty simple. What you do is just take the first badgeskin and you just kind of line up this portion right here where you set a little elbow. You just gotta line it up, to the plastic back here. And you're just gonna tack it down. Then what you do is that you go walk the vinyl and adhere it down. Don't push it all the way down, so you can kind of leave a bit of a lip here so it's not touching the other chrome piece. Once you've done that, what you can do is peel off the masking at 180 degrees. And now you can just work that back edge in. Once you've done that, you can actually tuck in the front bottom edge. Simply with your squeegee or your gift card if you don't have one. And work it in. And from here, right at the end piece here, you're just gonna take your heat gun, just warm up a little bit. You can take your squeegee, press down to the where the elbow is, the corner, and then just work everything else down like that. Now you take your heat gun again and just kind of run over everything. Find any points that you feel need adjusting. And just making sure that all your areas are tucked in nicely. Like that. So this is the first piece here. Now we'll move on to the second piece. The second piece, before you install it, I would take a microfiber cloth and just kind of clean it. And then what you'll do is that you'll take your second chrome delete, and where you're gonna line it up is kind of right here where the elbow is. So you're kind of gonna take this little kind of like a little cutout piece, kind of line it up to where this elbow is, and then you kind of see and just go up to the point where everything kind of just sits nicely inside the shape that it allots it for it to be. And you're just gonna tack everything down. You can kind of see how everything just kind of fits into that space, and you'll have a bit of excess from top and bottom. And then we'll see how, as we walk this across, if we aligned it properly. So as you can tell, I'm gonna have enough vinyl to wrap over the edge, so you know that you're good. If you don't, then that means that you probably went too far to the left. So now I'm just gonna tack everything down. Everything kind of just sits nicely and just kind of like a track for it. And once that's done, then you can remove the masking again at 180 degrees. And then you just kind of start tucking everything in again. This time I'm going to use a squeegee just so you have a variety. You've seen me doing the install with different tools. So what you want to do is you want to get the elbow piece here first and just kind of start working your way towards the front. You can see I can kind of just dig in here and actually will split the trim pieces so you can tuck this vinyl. Don't be afraid to give it some force. So now I'm just going to do the same thing here. And just kind of work this in. And I'm going to start from here again where it starts to kind of round. And keep tucking in the bottom section as I go towards the front. So when you get to this portion, don't be afraid to really squeeze that in between the fender and the plastic trim piece. So here's where you'll probably need a bit of heat to kind of get those corners. You can probably just use your finger. Be careful with the squeegee that you don't slip, because it will gouge the vinyl if you do. So here, once you get to this point, you can do the same thing. You take the heat gun, give it a bit of heat, and then with your squeegee, you're just gonna attack the corners, and then just tuck everything in nicely at the end there. Don't be afraid to just kind of work everything in, and as simple as that. Once you're done that, you can just remove your masking tape. And there you go, there's the top portion of the headlight complete. So once your masking has been removed, you can kind of do an overlook again. And this is the important part, is when you get to these corners, you can really get your squeegee in there and kind of just tuck that vinyl in behind to get nice clean corners and edges like that. And I just want to pinpoint this out because obviously you want to make sure that this looks nice and clean. So for the last piece here on the headlight chrome delete, here's the last piece here. Obviously we're just going to remove it from the backing, and what you're going to do is that you're just going to kind of line up the front here so that you see this little cutout is just a little bit ahead of where the chrome ends. See, here's where the chrome ends, and I'm just going to move it forward just by maybe a millimeter. Now everything kind of sits nicely, kind of like in the space that it should be in. So now you can just kind of walk the vinyl across like so, and everything just kind of falls into place, so you can kind of just see it sit in this kind of like channel that it needs to be in. And from here, what you can do is kind of just start working the vinyl just a little bit in here so it has a good grip. And then you're going to remove the masking. There you go, at 180 degrees. Now what you're going to do is that where this bend is where you want to start working this vinyl in. So you want to start pushing this into the headlight here, so you can kind of work out those wrinkles. You can, if you have a squeegee, you can use a squeegee. I'm just going to show you by using my finger at this point. Just kind of work everything in for now. So at this point, this is where you're going to need to get your squeegee out, and now you're just going to really start pushing everything into that crevice. Like that. And for the bottom, you're just gonna do the same thing. You're just gonna pick a spot. Usually I go from center out, and you just gotta tuck this underneath. See how this fully goes underneath like that, and then you're just gonna work that vinyl up and in. Same here. Just work that vinyl in. Now here's the part where you're gonna need the heat gun here. So what you're gonna do, you gotta warm up the vinyl. Don't concentrate on one spot. Just wave it around and just to heat up the vinyl, and you just go. Now just work everything in and behind, like so. Very simple, just be patient. Now for the very corner piece, if you have a small tool like this, you can use it. If not, just a little gift card, cut it into shape, and you can really tuck this in behind like that. And it's very simple, but it kind of gets that detail that you need. There's a little rubber gasket back here, so you can really just get in between it and get everything in. Once that's all done, just double trace everything that you've done. And what you're gonna do to finish this off is tuck in the front. A little bit of heat. Tuck in the top corners first, and then the bottom and top afterwards. Pretty simple. And now what you do is you remove your masking. Here's the important part. As you remove this, you may see some of the vinyl may grip onto the masking tape because we haven't really tucked, we just kind of pushed it into a crevice. But what's nice about this is that the lining around the headlight is actually black, so it hides it really well. And all you have to do is, if there's anything that hasn't been here down, is just push it down where the masking tape was helping it lift up. But other than that, this is an easy install, and here you are. Here we'll be installing the Mark II Tiguan R-Line lower bumper chrome delete. So essentially you're gonna have a chrome piece that's above the fog light on both sides, and also the center grille that's in the bumper. So this kit is actually fairly long because of the one big long piece in the middle, but I'm not sure if you can see what the kit looks like. You have a piece for each side above the fog light, and then the center piece. So what we'll do is we'll start off with just installing this piece above the fog light, and we're going to go through the same process you do before installing any badge skin. Is that you're going to wash, clean, dry, and then you use the alcohol wipes to thoroughly clean the whole area, especially in the creases that you see here, right? And then you got microfiber cloth and make sure you dry it out and make sure that everything's just nice and squeaky clean. Now for the install, it's pretty basic, just like any other badge skin install. You gotta take the badge skin off the backing. Now this is gonna be trimmed for you, and what you're gonna do, you're just gonna kind of slide it in here, and it's like any of the other ones where you're just gonna kind of line up the badge skin to the back here. Because it's pre-cut to the shape. And obviously the great thing is if you don't get what you like, you just kind of peel it back and readjust it. So here we are. Got it tacked down to, I think, where I covered pretty well where the chrome meets the black. And you can do the same thing here. do your best to line everything up. You have a little bit of overhang here. And get this top surface all adhered down. And then once that's done, you just go work this masking off just by folding it and peeling it at 180 degrees, and just work this into that corner and pull it off. Now after this, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna start working the vinyl down and in. So if you do have a squeegee, that's great, but I suggest that you get a little squeegee tool like this. You can probably find it on Amazon, and then you go work everywhere that meets up. If you can't or don't have one of these, you can take a gift card and just kind of cut it to shape. Just make sure that you don't have any sharp corners on it, and then just kind of work this into the creases. And now once you've done that, you can fold the front down. Now, let me see here. If you have any issues, you just use your tool and just kind of pull it up. But essentially what you're gonna do is that you just gotta work this down and over. And it should just match up almost perfectly. And then you just gotta tuck it. Tuck it into the crease. The best you can. Don't be afraid to give it some pressure. As you can see, look how far my tool is digging in. If you need to, you can take a razor blade and trim off any excess that you have if you can't fully tuck it. But as you can see here, you just give it a little bit of force and it'll tuck right in. Now, there's a little bit of a tricky part. So when you get to this part, it's kind of bald a bit, so it's curved. So you have to take a bit of heat to it with your heat gun, just to make it a little more malleable. But be careful because it's really soft and it can tear. So now you just kind of work it around like that. A lot easier with your thumb. And then just use your tucking tool to get rid of the excess underneath, like that. So there you are. It's not bad. This one, it's not as hard as it seems, but you do have to be a little diligent on the install. And there you go. Here's a chrome delete on this section of the bumper above the fog light, and I've already installed the other side, so now we're just going to tackle the middle section. So here we're going to finish off the lower bumper chrome delete here on the MK2 Tiguan R line, and we already did the two corner pieces above the fog light. So the last piece here is this big center piece that we're going to put onto this trim. So it essentially comes like this, and for the install, what we're going to do is that we're going to start from one end and work towards the other end. This is practically cut to fit it exactly, with give or take maybe a millimeter. What you need to do, like always, is that you got to clean the surface area. You got to be very diligent in this because this area of the bumper gets a lot of dirt. So when you wash and dry this and then use the alcohol swab, take like a little tool, like you said, whether it's this or a gift card that you cut up, and use this along with the microfiber cloth and the alcohol swab, and really dig in here and get out any grit and sand or anything that's stuck inside. Same thing along with the bottom and into the corners. Then you would wipe it down, and then you're ready for the application. So for this, it's a large piece, so just kind of make sure you don't fully remove it. If you do, have someone help you, or you can drape it onto your arm like this. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove this one corner here. You have a tab to grab onto, and you're going to essentially line up into the corner just like any other chrome deletes, right into the crevice in there. And then you just go walk this all the way across along that back edge for the whole length of this chrome trim. For me, you can kind of just tuck it in like this, like right there, or sometimes if you don't have it perfectly, you may have a bit of a overlap where it digs into the corner a bit. I wouldn't worry about that. Sometimes it seems like it's better if you have it kind of like fold a little bit where it meets that plastic piece, because that kind of ensures you won't see a sliver of chrome. But either way, you wouldn't see it from a few feet away. So once everything's lined up, as you can see, this will just kind of go right into that section. Use your tool and tuck it in. So now I'm just gonna adhere everything down. And slowly remove that masking. Degrees. So just if you see this flipped up, all you just have to do is pull it down and underneath. Now you can slowly work the ends and the back edge in. And then you just start from where it curls, starts to curve here first. Just kind of rub back and forth and work your way down. So there are some slits already pre-cut here, as you can see, that kind of help you release the tension to try and minimize the wrinkles. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the heat gun, apply a bit of heat in this area where it bends, and we'll continue to work it down. There may be a chance you may get a wrinkle or two here, depending on how you install it, but you should be able to work everything down and under if you do it carefully and slowly, adding a bit of heat as you go, as I am here, as you can tell. And those slits that were there helps you along the way and is very forgiving for the curves. So now, as you can see, I've got this section done, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. But what you do is you want to tackle these two corners where it bends first, and obviously now you just finish it off by working everything underneath and just getting the end tucked in like so. Add a little bit of heat, just activate the adhesive. And now you're just gonna walk your way all the way across. To make sure that you go from top and squeegee it down just before the curve so you don't get any air bubbles. And there you are, a full chrome delete on the lower Tiguan R-line bumper. It's not that bad, just a little bit of patience. Okay, so here we're going to be installing the chrome delete on the Mark II Tiguan for the side doors and the rear bumper and quarter area. The kit, it actually comes pretty large, as you can see. I magneted it to the door so that you can kind of see what the kit looks like. A suggestion I would say is that when you get this kit, you would cut this whole section along here just to remove the rear bumper centerpiece, and then slit this down the middle so that you have 3 easy working pieces to work with. But for this install, I'm just gonna leave it intact like this, just so I can show you guys what the kit looks like, and it's easy for me to work with anyways already, as I have it tacked onto the car like this. To start off with, what you gotta do is you gotta clean this whole area, wash it. I actually clay barred this a little bit just to get into the recess areas, and then I did an alcohol spray with a bit of water and wiped the whole area down again. And I was very thorough about how I cleaned this. So once I've done the alcohol mixture with 70% water, 30% alcohol, I took a microfiber cloth and I literally went with a little wedge piece. You can use a gift card or a squeegee if you have, and really get in here like this to really clean in there, because you may think that it's dry, but realistically there's still water that's trapped inside. So unless you're going to take an air gun or a heat gun or hair blower and really get in there to thoroughly dry it, I would do that. As you can see, like even now I'm still picking up a little bit of dirt. You would see it, right? You can see that that's trapped inside. So what I would do is that once you finish all the prep, you take the alcohol swab along with the tool, and you would actually run it along the edge like this. So you take your alcohol swab that comes with the kit, you wrap it around and really get in on and clean those edges, because it's very important to get that, in order to get that nice look on the chrome delete, so that you don't have the edges lifting on you. As you can see, I'm still picking up some dirt, right? So prep is everything, install is pretty easy. So I'm just going to continue on with my prep so that you guys can see it. So provide alcohol swabs. This side, not so bad. And this is the sound you want, that little squeaky sound. Once that's done, go over it again with my microfiber cloth. making sure that I take off any of the wet alcohol. Now once this prep is done is when you can go and do the install. So to start off with, everything's going to work from the front back. Same thing as the back door, front back. So what we're going to do is, as you can see, the front door section is the one that has that curvature, that little arrow like this. So I'm going to take the one for the right hand side. And I'm going to take off the backing. And what we're going to do is that we're going to tack down the top edge. And line the front up so that you're just gonna have a bit of coverage. As you can see, it should just wrap around where the chrome is. And then we're gonna make sure that we're sticking to the top edge. Once that's all tacked down and everything's lined up, then you can start working the vinyl down. Don't worry about it if it lifts off the top edge, we can work that in later. But essentially you just want to use that as a guideline to make sure that everything's lined up. And pretty well from this point on, you're just going to be tacking everything down. Just squeegeeing it with your finger. Give it some pressure and just eventually walk from the upper to the lower section of the vinyl. Once that's all down, you can literally just kind of run your squeegee along the top edge here, like so. And then we're going to remove the masking. I'll start from here so you can see. Don't worry about the edge not being stuck down, but you're just going to pull that off. 180 degrees, nice and slow, not too fast because the masking can tear on you. So from this point on, you're just going to continue on working this vinyl into the top. Once you get to this area here, I would probably suggest that you get a heat gun so you can soften up the vinyl a bit. And I'm just gonna thumb it down a bit. And then now if you have your little tool, you can manipulate it just a little bit more for a nice fit. And from here I just continue on with working the top section down, and I will continue onwards and use both your finger and the squeegee just to kind of get everything tacked down on that top edge. And then do the same thing to the bottom. just work all the way towards the back. Now, if you have a little bit of excess, like, you can just work it into the backing of the chrome like that. So essentially, you're just kind of wrapping it down. Just to give it a nice cleaner look. Because there is still a bit of a little gap between the chrome and the body of the car. Not much, but just enough for you to get a nice clean line with the vinyl. Once you've done all that, then the last part is just tacking down this. So what I'll do is that I'll open up the door a little bit so you can see. Now with this part here, it's pretty simple. Take the heat gun. Warm it up a little bit so it's a little more tactile. And you kind of hit these corners first, and then you're gonna wrap it all around. Like so. Same thing if you have a little micro squeegee tool. See how this edge is a little bit up? I'm just gonna clean that up a little bit right there. Take my heat gun again. I'm just gonna apply some pressure to clean up this little wrinkle here, like so. And that's it. As you can see, this is wrapped around the chrome, adhered, and this is all nice line all the way across the top. All you have to do is just go over any edges that you see that are still not tacked down or lifting, and just squeegee it in. If you need to, you can treat it with a little bit of heat, and that's it. So simply, I'll just kind of run over the whole vinyl like so, all the way through to make sure everything's tacked down and adhered. And it's a pretty simple install, and then we're going to continue on to the back. So for the rear section of the chrome delete, on the back door, the process is essentially the same. What we're going to do is just going to remove the badgeskin from the backing, and you're going to do the same thing where you're just going to line up the top and this front edge, so when it wraps around, it just covers enough of the chrome. So as you can see, I'm pretty happy on that location there, I think. So I'm gonna start. Let me test that out again. So I'm pretty happy, I think, from that location. And what you do is just line up the top edge, and just kind of tack down this corner as you go along. So you line up that top edge against the body of the door so that it does hide the chrome, and you just kind of tack it down as you go. And now it's just as simple as working that vinyl down and squeegeeing it all the way in. And just make sure that you apply pressure when you come to this section where it has a little bit of the indentation, so that it's nice and tight. Now once you get most of all the flat surfaces down, then you can remove the masking. Simply just folding it back at 180 degrees and pulling it back slowly. Once you get to this point, what you want to do is you want to tack down this front edge. Just give it a little bit of heat. Your heat gun, and then just simply tack down the corners first and then just squeegee your way across like that. Now you can start working everything on the top edge down. Just work all the way across. Do the same thing to the bottom. You just gotta tuck it in underneath. Once you've gotten all the way over here, then you're going to come and tuck in the back section. So with this, it's the same process. I'm going to open up the door a little bit here. I'm going to make sure everything is down. Give it a little bit of heat. And you just gotta tuck everything down and back, hitting the corners first and then the middle section, just like that. And this will wrap all the way back and around in here. As you can see, just tuck it all the way back. And it's as simple as that. Once you've completed all this, then you just thoroughly go over everything, make sure all your edges are nice. If you have a little tool like micro squeegee, then you can just kind of make sure that your lines are nice and tight, no exposed edges, and you can do the same for the bottom. After this, I would just suggest giving it just a quick heat treat, just like the front, and that's it. Okay, so in this section here, we'll be installing the rear portion of the Chrome Delete on the Mark II Tiguan, and this portion here is going to be the rear corner section. This comes in 3 pieces, obviously one for the right and the left, and one directly for the center piece. So same thing as always, as discussed at the beginning of the video, how on preparation, you want to follow that to a T, and then once you're ready, you're going to remove the badgeskin from the backing. And what you're going to do is that you're going to space this out essentially about 1 millimeter off of this edge right here, and then you're going to follow this top edge right where the bumper line is. You don't want to overlap it too much. You're literally just bringing that edge right to it. So just like that. Once you've done that and have everything lined up and happy with it, then you're going to start tacking the flat area down. Once it's all down, you can start by removing the masking. simply by flipping it at 180 degrees and peeling it away at a nice pace that's not too fast. Once this is done, you can start tucking in the vinyl, starting from the curved section here. Right here on this little indentation, make sure that it's nicely tacked down. You can rub it down with your finger so you can see it covers the top edge there. Once you tack it down, then go ahead and finish the top tuck. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom. I'm just going to walk this vinyl across and tuck it in. Now here, I'll do the same thing going back this way. Top and bottom. I'll tuck it right in. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this portion in. I use my micro squeegee. If not, you can use a gift card if you have. And just kind of tuck that section right into that crevice, as you can see there. Now, take the heat gun. Give it a little bit of heat and tuck that section underneath. Just like that. Just make sure my edges are good. Try to tuck that down in there. And this portion is then I'm going to move towards the front. So for the front, it's kind of the same thing. You're just going to heat this up a little bit. You take your squeegee. You hit those corners. And tuck everything down, and then just like that. Essentially, this is the install for this. It's pretty basic. I would take a heat gun again and just go over all the areas, just like always, and discuss through all the installs. Okay, so here we're on to the last piece of the Mark II Tiguan Chrome Delete. On the back bumper here, the centerpiece, which is the largest piece, as you can see. Obviously, we already done the last portion of the two corners. And with this kit here, on the last piece, what you want to do is you want to drape it over your arm, just so that if you don't have help or anything like that, then you don't want that dragging on the ground and collecting dirt. So here, I'm just going to take off the backing on half of it. What you want to do is you want to line this up about 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters. So as you can see where this is here, I'm just going to overlap that little gap just by a bit. You can see maybe about 1 millimeter onto the second part. And then now I'm just going to walk this across, lining up the top of the vinyl to the bottom of where the bumper recesses in. So kind of like following that channel. So this is where it comes handy, where you have half of this draped onto your arm. because now half of it's installed in the car. I don't have to worry about it picking up dirt or anything like that. You don't have to pull too hard, just give it a little nice tension and just tack that down all the way across. Once you get all the flat areas tacked down, then you can remove the masking at 180 degrees, like so. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start tucking in all the vinyl. Once you get to this part here, you're going to require your heat gun. And you're just going to warm this area up a little bit. And you got to fold that underneath. Once you get here, same thing. Apply a little bit of heat. Take your squeegee. And tuck it in. Just like that. And then excess that you have, you can tuck right in between where the reflector is and the bottom portion of the bumper. Like that. So give it a quick heat treat again. Making sure that all your corners are nicely adhered and tucked down. Now essentially all you're going to do is repeat the process on this side by tucking in the vinyl. And here you are. Here's a complete chrome delete kit for the Mark II Tiguan. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed and we didn't bore you too much with our install videos, but this is what you would end up looking like. Thanks for watching.